Hello there, I'm Anita and I'm a boring Norwegian. I'm still messing with resin, which is going to be what I call this series. I have not been allowed to pick apart our furniture before the tabletops and stuff are ready, so I haven't been able to make any videos of that. However, I'm trying to figure out molds and resin in a secondary project while I wait for the tabletops to be ready for sanding and polishing and cutting and all that fun stuff. Well, I'm not doing very well. If anyone out there have any suggestions to make a good mold, that would be awesome. I want to show you the two YouTubers that inspired me to start with resin. They do sculptures and dioramas, and they are so beautiful and detailed and scary, and I just adore their work. So I want to share their pages and hope you can go and check them out too. Be warned, some of my future work might just be inspired by some of the things they do. It's going to suck, but then again, there's no fun trying if I'm going to be afraid of doing a poor job. So yeah, enjoy me screwing up again. So what is my in-between project? Well, I have two knives where the handles broke. One was chewed up by a dog and the other just didn't handle the dishwasher very well. There was a few things I wanted to try with the resin. In one of the handles I am using seed beads. I wanted to make a snake and coil it around, but the beads were too big and the handles too small, so I figured, nah, I'll just make a stocking, stick it between two pieces of wood and call it a day. It is time consuming though, and I of course had to use some fancy colors. Now this is not a knife for cooking and all, it's like for oh my goodness, it's like a spikkekniv. That's the Norwegian word for it. I started beating the snake with the head and all, but yeah, it didn't work out. So I had to start over, picked apart the head and started just trying to maybe make a small tube for the body when I figured out the size was too big. I tried adjusting the recipe for the snake skin to make it fit a smaller or thinner body so I could still coil it around, but nah, my brain didn't work. So when I finally decided with the stocking, I didn't read the pattern the right way. Usually when I read pattern, they start on the right side and I go left, especially with texts. If you read the pattern the wrong way around, you kind of get the text backwards. But this pattern you had to read from the left to the right. If not, the pattern just didn't make sense at all. It just became this swirly thing. So I had to pick that apart too and start over again. This time I finally did it right, and I made a tube that was 8 centimeters long. All in all, the handle should be around 14 to 16 centimeters to fit the blade. You can actually see them on screen here now. They are two very different types of blades. The smallest one to the left is the one with the snake skin on it. Now the second knife is a small knife for cooking. It's one of my favorite knives for cutting paprika and tomatoes because it's not too big. Yeah, things can be too big sometimes, especially when you're a midget like I am. Anyways, problem with the knife is that the metal didn't go far enough down, so the handle kind of wiggled loose from all the use, and second, it didn't really handle the washing machine, the dishwasher. I don't wash my things in washing machine, I promise, just clothes. So to give the knife a bit extra hold, I cut a lot of wires and twisted them down and figured it's a nice test too, to see if they will make the knife stronger. I'm not sure, but hey, it's a test. Now this is the knife I'm going to keep throwing in the dishwasher too, so I can see if the resin I'm using can hold, first of all, in the temperature in the dishwasher, and second, if it will stay shiny and nice and pretty, or if it's going to break apart. So now I have found a piece of styrofoam where I'm going to prop up the knives while I put on some of the accessories. I have found some small pieces of ash wood to put around the snake skin bead piece thingy. And of course there's the wire tree. I want to try and decorate it with some weeds and some fake grass and see if I can make a small environment in there. And then there's the beaded snakeskin handle. I just glued two pieces of wood together and put the stocking over. And of course I had to drop my camera. And then I did a mistake because I wanted one piece of wood on each side of the beaded snakeskin part. But I should have waited with the top part. But yeah, I figured that after I poured the epoxy, so too bad. Here I am preparing my molds. I'm using plexiglass, nothing wrong with them, and a specialty tape that epoxy resin won't stick to. Cut them with a X-Acto knife, and I use a filler that epoxy resin won't be able to seep through when it's done right. Important notice. So yeah, of course I need to finish my metal tree handle too. Decorated it with some bits and bobs, weeds mostly, and some diorama grass, and in the end I got a mold too. Here's my first attempt of filling my molds, and they start leaking right away. Yeah, there are several reasons why this has happened, at least the ones I can come up with I'm going to share with you right now. When I cut the edges on the plexiglass, they weren't done straight enough, and it was harder to fill the edges right. This means that the probability that there are gaps between the plexiglass, even with the tape and the filler, is greater. So there's a bigger chance for the epoxy and resin to come through the joint. The filler I used, it said that I could fill the molds when the filler was dry, and I kind of just touched it and figured, yeah, it's dry now. No. I had to read a bit further and see that it took at least 24 hours before it dried properly. So the filler wasn't dry, so there's another reason. And then of course at the bottom of each mold I did not use the tape, so most of the leaks came from the bottom and from the joints where the filler didn't dry properly, and of course without the extra strength of the tape it was a disaster at the bottom of both of the molds. This means that I had to wait not 24 hours for the filler to dry. I had to wait 72 hours for the epoxy to dry, and then I had to fill in the crevices all over again and wait another 24 hours. Lucky me. I am such a patient person, so bliss, right? No. Here I am, recently filled my molds for a second time. quite happy they do not leak this time around. But I did mix a smaller batch of epoxy resin just not waste a lot of epoxy again if the molds didn't hold up. So they are standing on my table right now and I can't wait to unmold them and start preparing them and sanding them and polishing them and making them nice and pretty, and hopefully I can start using my knives again and find out whether or not the epoxy can manage the dishwasher, and not to mention if it holds up strength-wise, that it doesn't break apart. You just have to keep watching if you want to see the end result of this. And of course, if you haven't watched my previous videos, I am working on 3 tabletops. They are made from epoxy and wood, and I'm still a mess, so a lot of mistakes to watch there too if you want to have a little bit of fun on the cost of someone else. I am an amateur, so what you gonna do? Punish me? Don't have to, the epoxy does it for you. Well, goodbye and see you soon. Now, if you like this video, please give it a like, and if you have questions or advice, please comment. And of course, if you want to keep on following me, if you would subscribe, I would appreciate it so much. Thank you and bye bye.